You're very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup with me, Paul Brophy. Unfortunately, my colleague Roisin Cleric is not with us this evening, but we're going to keep the show on the road, as they say, and keep the Irish Political Roundup's energy going as Roisin brings to every program. Of course, you can also catch Roisin on her program on her channel, Confident Women Ireland, which is also available here on YouTube. Today we're joined by independent councillor for Tipperary, particularly in the Thurles electoral area, Councillor Jim Ryan. Jim has been a councillor for since 1999, so that's nearly 25 years. And Jim also contested the general election in November of last year, where Jim unfortunately came fourth in the three-seat constituency of Tipperary. Jim is also an accountant by trade and has a practice in Thurles. So, Jim, you're very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup.
Thanks very much, Paul. Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, Jim, the last time we spoke was back in, I think, around late April, early May. What are the big issues that have been coming up in your area of Thurles over the last number of months?
Yeah, I suppose the big issue has been the review of the National Development Plan and whether
Hmm.
Thurles will be included in that for the bypass project, which has been on the agenda for over 50 years
Wow.
for the town of Thurles. So we need a bypass. And I don't think there's not one person in the town or even one person in Ireland who visit Thurles who will doubt the fact that Thurles needs a bypass. We're choked every single day with thousands of vehicles, lorries and cars and vans and HGVs going through the town centre on a daily basis. So I suppose the big talking point in Thurles since the government announced earlier this year that they will be reviewing the National Development Plan
Hmm.
is whether or not our TDs here in Tipperary have the political clout to ensure that under that review, Thurles will be included in it, because at the moment, the National Development Plan goes up to 2040 and the bypass project with Thurles is not in it. So unless the review includes the bypass for Thurles, we could be looking at generations before we see a bypass for the town, unfortunately. So there is pressure
And
being put on our TDs. It's time to stand up and deliver.
mm,
50 years is a long time. There's plenty of money out there, so they can't use that as an excuse anymore. So, there is hope out there. There is a big campaign in Thurles. As I said, pressure is being put on the relevant bodies and our local TDs. And, hopefully those concerns will be listened to at this time.
and Jim as well, the plan that was launched by the government there about 3 weeks ago, it's over 112 billion between 2026 and 2030. Now that's a four year period, and then there's an extra 10 billion in additional funding also available. Now it is a lot of money, but it's very vague in the sense that there's like projects like the bypass in Thurles. There's no specific projects mentioned in it. Do you think that's a little bit worrying?
Well, look, there has to be projects in it if you're going to have that sort of money to spend. So there will be projects in it. We were all listening to the radios and glued to the television 2 or 3 weeks ago when the government were announcing details of the review, and we're all hoping projects in Tipperary will be included. It's not just a bypass. I mean, there's loads of other projects like water infrastructure projects,
Mm.
housing projects, roads. But there was no specifics in it. Why, I do not know. I know a lot of ministers and TDs were putting pressure on the relevant minister to include projects in their own constituencies in it. So it's not as if they weren't aware of the projects that needed the funding. So I don't know why. It's only dragging it out. What I have heard is that the specific projects will be announced when the budget is being released in October. So we're going to have to wait until October to see whether towns like Thurles will get the funding required for specific projects like bypasses. So it's disappointing. I don't know what the reason behind it is. There's no need for it to drag it on. Just come out and
Mhm.
tell the people of Ireland where the money is going to be spent. We know the money is there. Just tell us where it's going to go, and hopefully, as I said, towns like Thurles will benefit from it.
Absolutely. And of course, you ran in the general election there in North Tipperary there last year. You were very unfortunate. You came fourth in a three-seater, missing out on the last seat to Fianna Fáil's Ryan O'Meara. The government that we have currently, the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Independence, they've been in place since early January. Sorry, late January, early February. How would you assess the first 200 plus days of this current government?
Look, I suppose it's early days yet, like, but, I suppose putting my accountant hat on, I'd always be very prudent with finances. And I suppose, in fairness to Pascal Donoghue and Minister Chambers, Jack Chambers, they have consistently come out and said they're not going to spend the money willy-nilly, that they need to be prudent with the money. That there's no guarantee the money that's been taken in at the moment through corporation tax will last forever. And that's obviously not going to be the case. So, you'd always be looking to see, are they putting money aside for a rainy day, which they have, in fairness to them. But I suppose on other areas, you'd be very disappointed with the performance of them so far. They haven't really showed any initiatives or any forward thinking in relation to the likes of the water infrastructure in Ireland, which is on its knees at the moment. In my own area here in Corknahoo, Glengool, Killinall, Federal, Ballystow area, they're waiting over 40 years for the water treatment plant and the water infrastructure to be upgraded. Yes. There's still no sign of any money for it. And I know many other projects like that around the country that, again, Irish Water have left them in limbo and keep saying they have the finances to put forward, infrastructural projects in different constituencies across the country. And, I mean, we all saw the absolutely disgraceful situation with that young child dying there, waiting years for an operation that Simon Harris promised may take a few months. They just can't seem to be able to, to grasp the problem of health. Money is not an issue. Why they can't, I just cannot understand it. And from talking to people that work within the HSC, they can't even understand themselves why it just cannot be sorted out. They're all stressed out, they're under pressure. It's not true, no fault of their own that we are in the situation that we're in. But on a daily basis, I have people contacting me saying that they're on waiting lists to see consultants, to see specialists, to have operations carried out, and have assessments carried out. It's just not good enough. It's just terrible at that in 2025, and the government have billions of euros in surplus. They just cannot get hold of the likes of Irish Water or our health service, and it's just beggars belief, to be honest with you.
Councillor Jim Ryan, thanks a million for taking the time to chat to us here on the Irish Political Roundup. It was very interesting to catch up with you again and find out all the things that are happening in your local area of Thurles in North Tipperary, and get your insights into what's happening in the world of Irish politics, and particularly our community as well, because we may, without community, we don't have anything. So I'd like to thank all our viewers for taking the time to take the time to watch us here on the Irish Political Roundup. I'd like to say thank you to my colleague Roisin Cleric, who unfortunately is not with us today, but thanks again for taking the time to chat to us here on the Irish Political Roundup, and we'll talk soon.